Hello, welcome to Matters of Decorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Every so often, especially as society becomes charged and we're in isolation and we're stuck with the reality of our political situations, I want to make posts that relate to the real world. But that's not what I do on this channel. Every so often, this is my opinion and what matters to me. But at the same time, politics is a very charged subject. And um, even speaking about things in the most general terms, you run the risk of rubbing people the wrong way. And as there are such different ways in which people can get rubbed at the moment, there is just no way of rubbing in any direction without getting one of them wrong. That can be taken a lot of ways out of context, meaning I'm trying to generate as little personal friction as possible. So I'm going to have a chat about things in the context of world building in a role playing game. I've got a lot of this stuff going on. I work with layer action, involves a lot of world building, and will involve more as time goes on in my personal games and the things that I'm just doing, even when I'm playing a computer game with friends of mine, trying to rationalize the reason things are the way they are. We're playing 7 Days to Die at the moment in our Wednesday night group, which is like 5 nights a week now because coronavirus and zombie apocalypse, and trying to work out why society got to the point that we can see the fragments of before everything collapsed. And it's just a fascinating exercise to try and figure out why a society got the way it is, or how you build a society that is going to augur into that kind of situation. So let's talk about fantasy world. You want to have a variety of different places that people can come from and different places people can go do stuff. Travel is wonderful in the fantasy world. You look at Lord of the Rings, and half of that is going different places and seeing the sights and engaging in the spectacle of it. And that's a wonderful thing to have in your games. A little bit of a travel log in there where you can show off the creativity and the wonders that you can craft in your mind. Always wonderful. And then you got to populate those areas so there is something to do. And it could always just be animals and monsters. There are the wilds, and when you go there, it's dangerous, and you've got random encounters. But more often, what you want to find, what you want people to be able to react to, are other people. There is a lot more intrigue and possibility, just as all the possibilities, when you have other people and other cultures involved in your world. We go someplace else and they do things differently, and they eat different things, and they see the world a little bit differently. And you have to work within that paradigm of society as opposed to the one that you've come from. And it's tricky, and you're trying to navigate stuff, and you're in a journey of discovery. Um, I love watching Food Network programs, and Anthony Bourdain, rest his soul, and Andrew Zimmern and others who travel to different places, trying the amazing different foods and cuisines. I could run a game just on going and sampling the cuisines of different lands. And I probably will at some point in time. That actually kind of sounds like fun. Run that game and then try and write a cookbook based on everything that people encountered. Where you, but using these lenses to explore. You also want to have conflict in your game. You need to have conflict. Conflict is where adventure comes from. And it is not necessary that it be one person against a different person, or one nation against another nation. Conflict comes in all different kinds: person versus person, person versus nature, person versus society, person versus the universe. Um, and many of these are fun to explore. Person versus themselves is one of the what inner demons do they have to encounter and overcome? What do they need to find within themselves or defeat within themselves? Personal demons are sometimes more vicious than demons. But to frame a world in which conflict is common and there are more opportunities for it, you need a war. You need a war. An upcoming war or a war that is just passed, there needs to be broken families and destroyed property, and either people who hold resentment or who are walking into this about to hold resentment. You want to break some spirits and poison the soul if you want to have the broadest variety of conflicts. Conflicts make for good adventures. Not even that your player characters are going to involve themselves in the conflict, not that they're part of the war. One of the greatest movies I reference constantly is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The main characters in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly are straight up player characters. Goldie and Tuco and even Angel Eyes are player characters. And they are doing their own thing, pursuing their own quest during a war. The war frames their quest. It gives the quest its reason. It's the background for the quest. It's some of the obstacles they have to overcome, aside from one another, in the following of their quest. It is the events that they have to deal with. The quest tells us a little bit about the characters. What happens around the quest tells us more. And how these characters deal with those involved in the war tells us the most of all. War is informative. So, we need to start a war. There's a tradition in fantasy literature, and that has been magnified over the years by fantasy role-playing game literature. And that is to take a country or a race, a entire demographic of individuals, and slap evil on their alignment. Those people are evil, and we must oppose them because we are good. That is classical fantasy framing. And it is lazy. Oh my God. There are all manner of reasons that people are getting away from that framing in this day and age. It tends to oversimplify very complicated issues. And for beer and pretzels sitting around the table rolling dice to kill things, oh, okay, all right. But saying all of the people in an area or of an ideology are evil is oversimplifying one of the most complicated things you can look at. And removing opportunities from the adventure itself. And so you don't necessarily want that to be the case. As the designer, as the person writing this, you do not in your mind want to put these people in a circle on your Venn diagram and say, this group is evil because that is what these people are, evil. Their ideology might be. They might be following an evil ideology. They might be performing acts which are evil because they're driven to it by their ideology. Their leadership might be evil and is driving these people to doing it because that is the chain of command. The top is evil, so those under them go and do evil. The rank and file of that demographics, military, the population, the people there supporting the military, the odds are they do not consider themselves evil. And that is where the conflict gets complicated. Because just like you don't want to say all people of this race, all people of this country, all people who are working for these people over here are evil for many reasons, but least of all because it's lazy. You also don't want to look at another group and say, okay, these people on this part of the Venn diagram, they are all good. All good. They're all pure of heart and kind of spirit, and they all just want to make everything better. And so they're opposing those people who are all evil because these people are all good. Their ideology might be one for the benefit of the majority of them. Their ideology might be one to self-sacrifice and operating for a common good. Their leadership might be good aligned. They might be leading their people to doing good things. And the individuals within that society might, for the most part, consider themselves good. But those are people. And they are as widely varied, or should be as widely varied in their motivations, their ethics, and their morals as people tend to be. Now, both sides are going to tell their people the same thing. Let's say we have an evil king and a good king. Let's scrap the classical gender roles. Let's say we have a evil council of wizards and a good council of, I want to say clerics and opposition, but let's step aside from the role of religion there because I feel like it. Highly magical area, lots of magic being used, high magic campaign. You have a College of Darkness on one side. They don't call themselves College of Darkness, but we know that's what they are. They are practicing arts that are traditionally dark. Necromancy at a minimum. Necromancy, diabolism. Or on the other side, you have a healing college, a group of mages of like mind who have mastered using magic to enhance the body and spirit and mind to move forward in peace and harmony. Yeah, it sounds like a good start. Both these people tell the people under them the same thing. Both these people tell their communities the same thing. Maybe not at the beginning. Maybe they're before there is any conflict that we are aware of, despite the fact that their ideologies are directly opposed. They both tell their communities, we are working for your best interest. Because leaders lead by the consent of the followers. Um, there are usually more swords in the hands of the peasants than necks of the kings, as it were. I keep slipping into gendered terms, and you'll have to pardon me. That is decades of habit. Best I can do is note it and move on. You tell the people you are working for their benefit. And to some degree, both sides are. Now you look at the healers, and well, they are providing healing and guidance and leadership, helping people to live in a harmonious state. And on the other side, well, those are necromancers, but there's a little healing involved in necromancy, as there a bit of necromancy involved in the healing. When it comes right down to it, there are some spells that are gray areas between the two, and they help their people. They benefit from having a strong and capable population. Of course, they'll make sure they have what they need to eat, to learn. They might drive some individuals to do more of the work than others. They might benefit from being at the top of society and have that top-down hierarchy working for them, but they need those people one way or another. They will either help to feed them or convince them that they are helping them to feed them. Illusion is easy enough. You're not hungry. You only think you're hungry. You're not poor. Look at all the gold you seem to have. People start dying. People come back. Oh, they might shamble a bit more than they used to. Their conversation isn't as good as it once was, but they're back. You haven't buried a relative in this country for 100 years. How can things be bad? Nana is still reading stories in the rocking chair in the room with the hearth fire roaring. You can't understand the words anymore. She's not really looking at the book. But you remember the stories. In the kingdom with the good ideologies, well, those people believe that they are following good ideologies. They have a feeling of pride in their nation. It is a nation of healing and of kindness and of moving forward. And there's nothing wrong with having those beliefs. In the dark nation, those people believe they are following good ideologies. They're a nation of tradition and of power and of loyalty. And there's nothing wrong with following those ideologies. They are doing exactly what they need to be doing and are proud of the fact that they are supporting the people who can give them these things that they have been taught from day one are the most important things in their lives. If I fall, I will rise. I might lose some of my agility. I might not be as articulate as I was, and I will prepare for that from day one. I will read the books that they give me. I will listen to the instructors at the academies. I will learn that someday I may fall in battle. And so long as I do not fall to fire or decapitation, I'll be brought back. And I will continue to serve as a proud member of the legions. Their armor might focus on gorgets and other collar devices. They might go into battle with potions of fire resistance on their belts just in case, so their corpse can be brought back to function, to serve proudly, because that is what they were taught they need to do. That is loyalty. That is power. And though you have come back a little stumbly, you are unstoppable. Someday, you will be a member of the Undead Legion. Your family will receive benefits, and you will continue to serve. Does that sound horrible? Because to someone from the healing nation, that would sound horrible. That's a state worse than death. That is worse than passing on. But to the nation of the necromancers, that's service. There's nothing wrong with that. That is laudable. Now, as the designer, we step back and we ask ourselves, is it laudable? No. No, it probably isn't. One of these is actually and clearly superior, because those undead legions, those soulless zombies of suffering dead, continuing to stumble into battle, driven there by the belief that this is some form of honored afterlife. That's a lie. That is clearly and plainly a lie. We know the mechanics of necromancy. We can read it in the book. The players can pick up a book and read what these spells actually mean. You can look up the stat block on a zombie. There's nothing in there about a special power given by honor. That's evil. But the people who are pursuing the path to get there can be doing so because they are good. A person serving in the military of the Necromancer's Nation can fully on be lawful good. Good because they are living a life of sacrifice to their people and their community. Lawful because that is the law of the land. You serve, you die, you rise. That's how it is. That's in the books. There are paladins to death gods over there. Lawful good paladins of death gods over there. Trained in their beliefs from day one that this is the right thing to do. Let's look at the other side. Look at the healers. We pull back as a game master. Well, that's good. I mean, most people who practice these things tend to have good in their alignment somewhere. Gods who have the healing domain in their purview tend to be gods with good in their alignment. Those people are following an ideology which we can recognize by game mechanics and by lore for the most part. Those are good. Are all those people good? Why do you pursue healing? Well, I want to live longer. I want to live longer no matter what. Some of those people, not all of them, some of those people are in it most likely for reasons that are not entirely to the benefit of that community. Healing is leverage. I can keep you young. I can keep you young almost forever, as I'm going to be young forever. Oh, I might die, but chances are I'm going to live a very long time. Would you like to live a long time too? What is that worth to you? In more than one society in the modern age, we have seen that arts of healing can be used for personal gain. They can be used for not entirely beneficial purposes. To be able to heal is to be able to do some of the most damaging things possible. A knowledge of psychology allows you to help someone with mental problems, or to cause them, or to aggravate them. Over there, law of average says some of those people are evil. Some, not all. They're taught a good ideology from a designer's point of view. Are there flaws in that ideology? Probably. Everyone's not your friend. There are people out there who probably don't deserve your help. If you help all the people out there, some of them are going to turn around, stab you, and take your stuff. But, you helped. Is that good? If you are practicing something that is going to get your family killed because you sacrificed yourself and them for an ideal, let's talk about Batman for a sec. Scott's Batman rant. Batman doesn't kill. I can appreciate that code. I can appreciate why he is claimed to have it. And this is the one of the more recent incarnations of Batman. Batman doesn't use guns. Batman doesn't kill. This is not how Batman has always been presented. In his early days, Batman killed people right and left. But one of the key points of many Batman comics, especially in recent years, is Batman cannot kill the Joker. Because if he kills the Joker, he is not being true to his code, to his ideals. It is the one thing he can't do. You can't just kill the Joker. It's a good stance. And it marks Batman as being willing to sacrifice to try and help someone else who deserves no help. Is it good? Supposedly this is because Batman saw Bruce Wayne saw his parents killed in front of him and dedicated himself to punishing evil and making sure that no other child has to deal with that if it's within his power to stop it. Except it is within his power to stop it, and he doesn't. Because history has demonstrated that capturing the Joker and putting him in Arkham Asylum means that the Joker is going to escape from Arkham Asylum and murder some people. Some of whom are going to be parents who are going to leave children behind. And not dealing with the Joker in a more final fashion as, it's a moral question. Do I kill the Joker? Do I make the Joker incapable of taking these actions anymore? Do we lobotomize the Joker? Do we do something to the Joker to prevent him from being able to do this? Killing him is the easiest of these things. Imprisoning him apparently just doesn't work. Do we take that life to save the lives of all the people we know for a fact he's going to kill in the future? Or do I sacrifice all those people in the future for my ideology of not killing? Is that self-sacrificing to not kill him, or is it the most selfish thing in the world? I'm sorry, my code not to kill the Joker is more important than all the lives of the people the Joker is going to take. That I know he's going to take. Sorry, folks. I'm sorry you lost your parents. I'm sorry your children were dissolved in acid, but I have a code. Drives me nuts sometimes. So you can look at something that is good and you can see maybe a hint of that good old selfish evil in it. Fact of it is, on both sides of this conflict, you are going to see people who are good and people who are evil. You're going to see people who are ambivalent. You are going to see soldiers marching for a cause. You're going to see soldiers marching for a paycheck. You're going to see soldiers marching to see what they can take off the bodies in the middle of the battlefield. You're going to see soldiers. And they are going to be people. You're going to see leadership, and they're going to be people. We tend to dehumanize or de-whateverize in a fantasy setting our opposition. Well, I'm running a campaign in the land of good, and the land of evil is attacking, and we need to do something. And your guys are guys, and their guys are ghouls. Those are monsters over there. Oh, they might look like people, but they're monsters because they're evil. So it's okay to just slaughter them with 3 attacks around and a bonus action. That kind of writing, that kind of running a game, betrays a lack of knowledge about how societies are formed out of people. And the fact that no matter what side you're on, you are being, those people are being given an ideology to work with. Very few of them are going to work up their own ideology because working up an ideology is hard. And they're educated that the ideology they're being given is the most ideal ideology. Of course, things are this way. It makes perfect sense. From day one, you were taught this is the way that makes sense. And that's not just what they're taught. Not just, we are giving you our ideology because it makes sense. They're also taught because that ideology over there doesn't. And do they teach their people what that ideology over there isn't? Or is? What is that ideology over there? No. No, they don't. They teach their people what they want their people to think that ideology is. Oh, the healers live in golden palaces and take all the money from the people under them so that they can live rich and lavish lives while they barely give their people enough blood and food to live off of. And when they die, they are gone forever, their spirits cast into the universe at the whims of the capricious gods, rather than holding them close to their selves and their families. They say goodbye to their family members forever. And the leaders who have the power of resurrection in their hands don't use it. Oh, a special few get resurrected. But your grandmother wouldn't get resurrected. You wouldn't get resurrected. You wouldn't have the future that you have here. From a certain point of view, that being the opposite sides, the other is evil. As the writers, as the game masters, We know better. We know that the ideology might be good and the people might be varied, but it's generally working to benefit. But to everyone on the other side, even the leaders after a few generations, no, those people are evil. Those people have an ideology we have got to remove them from play. We've got to make them not be a thing anymore because they're evil and they want to crush our way of life. That's how you start a war. That's how you stir the conflict. That's how you drive your people to go out and do things maybe they wouldn't normally do. That's how you get people to sign up for your army. So you get people to take up arms and go fight against your opponents on both sides. We have a benefit as game masters and writers looking at this from the outside and knowing, oh, we have set these pieces up over here and these pieces up over here. These folks do this, these folks do that. If I want to find a good person in the land of the necromancers, I can do that. There's probably a lot of good people over there. I just need to go in and look around, ask some questions, see what find out. Am I going to find, are there people who doubt the ideology? Sure, maybe. Can I get a word in edgewise someplace? Maybe. You've got to be really, really careful who you talk to, though, because most people over there are not going to listen. And you're going to sound like an idiot to them, and they're going to sound like an idiot to you because you're talking two different things. They were taught from day one, everything you know is wrong. And convincing them differently means fighting an entire lifetime of training. Can I find evil people over in the healer's land? Yeah. Oh, I sure as heck can. If I dig around in the back streets and the streets and maybe in some of the halls of power. Maybe I look through the no further than the government itself to find a person or two in there who is unfit to serve in their position and maybe evil to the core. Do I try and argue against their ideology? Maybe you could. Maybe you could. Maybe you're from the necromancer's land. Maybe you want to go argue with them. Maybe try to convince them. Look, you're doing evil things, and you're going to start talking about things that the other side's going, you're an idiot. None of that is true. But you know it's true, and you try and convince them, and it's not easy. It's not simple. It's not something that you can solve in an afternoon with a roll of 5 or 6 dice. I wish it was. I wish solving problems like this was easy, but it's pernicious, it's devious, it's divisive. Best you can hope to do is stand in the middle. You know, I referenced the good, the bad, and the ugly before for a reason. Because Angel Eyes used the conflict, found a side. Oh, he turned up to be on the one that's probably ended up using less than good tactics, but wore the colors that got him the most benefit. And Blondie and Tuco, they stood in the middle. They didn't take a side. You got the idea that Blondie had at one point in time. He might have had some military experience, but they were standing alone between the two of them. The biggest act of war that they undertook was to stop a fight that shouldn't have been happening. That would be a hell of an adventure. Not to get into the war and make sure one side wins over the other. Although there's, from an external perspective, there's clearly a side that probably should win this war. Maybe the adventure is stopping the fight. Maybe the adventure is just making everyone stop for a minute and take a breath. Because if you could accomplish that, if you could just make everyone stop for a minute, take a breath, reevaluate, you might do more good than you could imagine. Well, thank you very much for following me through this somewhat charged wander through a completely fictitious land that has absolutely no relationship to what we might know in the real world. Um, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you would like to talk about a world like this, experiences that you have in world building, and the complexities involved in it, anything you'd like to hear me talk about, subjects you'd like to hear me cover, leave me a comment below. I will love getting your comment. You will love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. I invite you to hit the little subscribe button down there. If you do, hit the notification bell so that you're alerted when my videos become available. If you'd like to support the channel in a more substantial fashion, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottQuorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps, allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me. I'll see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.